crazy, but which there may be some truth in. But basically pain tolerance, like anything, can be conditioned. And that was one of the things I conditioned myself. And I know on the surface it sounds nuts, stupid, however you want to phrase it. Why would anybody take a 3-4 inch long nail and drive it through their arm just to do it? Basically, for me, it's all about mind control. It was one more way, basically forcing myself to do something that was really uncomfortable, but being able to control it. And if I can control pain, I can control my body, I can control anything else. But basically, it's like a lot of the other things. You start in increments, you start up slow. And I'm not saying you need to go out and have somebody whip you or, you know, do whatever. But basically, it's about doing things that are uncomfortable, being able to tolerate it, and then being able to control your reactions to it. So for me, it started with, what started a lot of this, little background on the story. I was in 10th grade in high school in woodshop. We had this crazy guy that was a couple years older than me. He was our linebacker on varsity, and I think his senior year he broke 2 or 3 guys' legs in games. He was just a really tough guy, really crazy, and really aggressive. And I don't even know where this came from, but he was in woodshop. He had this big, huge safety pin, and some guys were gathered around, so we kind of gathered around to see what he was doing. He took this big safety pin, stuck it in his arm, and pulled it out and didn't flinch, and that just left an impression on me. And the rest of the day, all I kept thinking about, man, I wonder if I could do that. So as soon as I thought about it for the next several hours, as soon as I got home, I went straight to the bathroom, found the biggest safety pin I could, stuck it in my arm, and I was like, nah, it wasn't that bad. But then it was just, you know, like that whole realization, wow, if I could do that, you know, what else can you control? What else can you tolerate? And then that kind of pain, you know, relates to training pain, to discomfort. So that, you know, the lactic acid burn you get during high rep sets, you know, the labored breathing and the physical discomfort when you're, you know, pushing your body really, really hard. It's the same kind of control, the same kind of tolerance, being able to tolerate stuff that's uncomfortable and be able to keep going. And I mean, obviously in an athletic sense, that applies to so many things. It also applies to injuries, and I mean, and not that, you know, not that I don't sense pain just like everybody else does. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in the world that probably have higher pain tolerances than I do. But for example, when I had surgery, the last 2 surgeries I had, I never took any pain meds. I mean, when I woke up I told him beforehand, the anesthesiologist, I don't want anything, not a single thing. When I wake up, don't give me anything unless I ask for it. The last 2 surgeries, I didn't take anything. I walked out of the hospital 30 minutes after my surgery, went home, never took anything. Was back in the gym training the next day. You know, after I had my little bout with cancer, I had one of my testicles removed. I squatted 4 days after the surgery, and you know, bleeding through it. My oncologist wasn't too thrilled about that. But it's about, like I said, it really boils down to being able to control and tolerate discomfort and force your body to do things that are uncomfortable. And you can apply that to so many other things. And like I said, like I've done all kinds of crazy things, from the safety pin to staple guns to the nail was probably the most crazy thing. And it sounds really stupid on the surface, like why would you do that? But like I said, it's all about being able to control and make your body do something that you don't want to. I mean, it doesn't feel any better to me than it would to any of you, but it's about being able to control that anxiety, control the pain, control any fear you may have, make your body do it anyway without flinching, without hesitation.
With a nail, like a nail gun, a hammer?
No, I just take a 4 inch long nail and stick it all the way down my arm and pull it back out.
Get the whole thing in the arm?
Yeah. It's on my DVD if you want to plug it. But yeah, no, yeah, I should have run it by Dave first. I don't know if you would have been for it or against it, but yeah, and now here's something. Again, the whole lines of pain. This is something I'm still experimenting, something I'm still working with, but the whole another aspect, a whole other thing, but all along the same lines. Okay, pain or any other physical sensation is simply messages being sent from your body to your brain. Pain is obviously a bad message saying something bad's going on, we don't like it, make it stop. But like anything else, it can be overridden or it can be interpreted in different ways. For example, if you're in a fight or you're in a situation where you're fighting for your life, you know, like guys in war, they can be shot, you know, get cut open huge, hardly even feel it. The adrenaline's pumping, they're focused on something else. Their brain's overriding those sensations because there's other things more important going on at the same time. So it shuts down, you know, or barely recognizes, you know, those things that would normally, like if you took a bullet just sitting around every day, it'd be, you know, excruciating. But if you're in a situation where you're fighting for your life, your brain can override that. You can focus on other things to where you're somewhere safe, and then you can, you know, address those issues. Well, the thing I always thought about, well, if you can do that in those kind of situations, why can't you do it at any time? And that's something I've been working on and trying to explore, and not just overriding the pain, but interpreting it as something different. Basically looking at it as, this is a signal my body's sending me, but I'm just going to choose to view it differently than what it's trying to tell me. It's trying to tell me it's something bad. I'm going to look at it as just information. And then it takes a lot of focus and a lot of energy, but I've been able to, and not consistently, not every time, but just interpret it as a different type of sensation and not sense it as any type of discomfort. And this is kind of getting out there, a little bit, but it's just another example of what your mind's capable of, what you can do, and how you can change things, and how you can control, so much of what you do with your body, and how this can be applied to athletics or any type of success in your life. So, any questions about all this stuff, or you guys already have me committed now?
Do you have any pain tolerance development exercises that don't involve punctures?
Unfortunately, that's most of what I use. But anything that's really, honestly, temperature. That's things I've done too. Purposely, I used to do this a lot when I was in the Marines. Purposely dress way under, like if it's really cold out, wear far less than what was necessary. So basically, I'd be freezing the whole time, and then basically just tolerate it. And same thing, learn to focus on other things, take your mind off it. And I did that consistently for a long time, and I got to where, it'd be, like for a period of time I was stationed in the DC area for quite a while, which the winters there aren't real harsh, but it would get down in the 30s and stuff, and I'd be going on post in a t-shirt all the time, just a t-shirt and our little jackets that we wore, and other guys are wearing, their field jackets and a whole bunch of other stuff, and everybody thought I was crazy back then. But it was just, for me, it was a way of staying mentally tough and just teaching myself to tolerate discomfort. And you can do the same thing with physical. The easiest thing for probably everybody here is, physical exercise. Like if you're doing a set of high rep squats, when you get to the end where, the lactic acid is really building up, your lungs are burning, and you're going really hard, it's a matter of being able to push yourself, one more rep. And the thing is, people would be shocked to learn what true physical exhaustion really is. That was one thing, my time in the Marine Corps, if there was one thing I learned, I was already disciplined, I was already motivated, a lot of things that people picked up from there I already had going in, but what I really learned was how much my body could actually take. There was times where we went a couple days with barely sleeping, out in the cold, barely ate, did all this stuff. We'd do, anybody who's been in the Marines or familiar with it at all, our long force marches, we call them humps, and we'd do 20-something miles in about 6 hours, carrying a ton of gear, 95-degree heat, going up and down mountains, and we'd start out, I remember sometimes in the first couple miles, I'd be thinking, there's no way in hell. There's no way I can maintain this pace. And, but, being competitive and not had the mindset that I'm not going to be broken, you just keep going. And there were so many times I got all done, I would think, man, there was no way in hell I thought that I could do that. And there was times, there was times that it got, I wrote about this in my logs a while back, but there was one in particular where, we had this group of troop leaders in the infantry school, and I was it was called Alpha Company, and it was referred to as elitefts, and these guys were just really mean dicks, basically, and they took enjoyment out of trying to break us. And what they do when we went on our humps is they would take one troop leader, and he would lead it and go as fast as he could. We found out later, like while our packs were stuffed full of gear, theirs were filled with newspaper. And they did a couple other things to make it a little easier on themselves. But then the other guys would hang towards the back and catch the people that stretched out, and then one guy would just take off and try to break everybody. Being competitive like I was, I basically took the mindset, you're not going to break me. And this one time I was a shorter one, like 10 miles, but it was almost like at a running pace. And within a couple miles, we'd lost everyone. There was no one else. We're going up and down through the mountains, and I was hurt really, really bad. But I knew he had to be hurt just as bad, and I just stayed right on his ass the whole time and wasn't going to quit for anything. And finally got to the point where I think he realized no matter how hard he went, he wasn't going to shake me. So we started running down the sides of these mountains, and my right foot's still screwed up from this to this day. But we were going down so fast, and my feet were being shoved so hard down my boots, it ripped all the skin off the top of my feet. All my toenails ended up falling off. When they grew back in, they fell off a second time. And like I said, the right ones still don't grow in right to this day. But mentally, I don't think I've ever suffered more or hurt for a longer period of time. That 10 miles probably took us I don't know, maybe an hour or something. I'd have to figure, that'd be 10 miles an hour, we're going that fast. But it took less than 2 hours, and you know, like I said, going up and down mountains in California in like 90-something degree heat, and I was just, you know, completely physically exhausted. I could hardly stand when we got there, but made it all the way there, didn't let him shake me, and we got there. He turned around, looked at me, never said a word, but just kind of nodded, you know, just kind of acknowledged, like, fuck, you know, and, but yeah, like in training as far as like mental toughness, stuff like that, like just continually pushing yourself a little bit farther, but recognizing it, not ignoring the pain, but trying to embrace it, trying to take it and you know, keep going farther, keep going harder. And of course, a lot of this has to do with your conditioning and everything else, but it's not, you know, it's not a matter of maybe always doing more reps, but it's being able to tolerate more pain. You know, if you're out of shape physically, you know, you may be in twice as much pain as you could have been, you know, years ago when your physical, you know, your GPP or your cardiovascular conditioning was at a much higher level. But so it's not about necessarily always being able to do more, but it's being able to tolerate more discomfort. But yeah, in training without physically abusing your body, you know, training is probably the easiest application for it. Anybody else?
So inevitably, like a lot of beginner or intermediate lifters will face some level of fear, probably ego-driven fear, when lifting with really good lifters that will make them do something stupid or make them quit. And I wonder if you had any advice for lifters or coaches of lifters who might be dealing with athletes who are dealing with that situation, channeling that energy in a positive way to get them motivated rather than do something stupid.
Right. Well, a lot of it is, especially in a sport like powerlifting, where it's very, you know, objective versus subjective. It's going to become very real that, you know, guys aren't all at the same level. And basically, like in anything else, you know, learning how to lose before you can learn how to win. You know, guys are going to have to accept that there's people out there that